Hey everyone, real quickly again, I just wanted to go over the learner profiles and your data collection for this semester. It's a little bit different. You're going to be doing this across your curriculum course and your supervision course where we get to see those students as you record your classroom. Um, so let's look at what the learner profile looks like. All right. So it looks a little different than it did last semester. The columns are a little bit different, and we've given you some examples of what you might kind of look for. So we're looking at assets and strengths in our students, overwhelmingly positive and encouraging things that really stand out with students that we can capitalize on. Knowing that sometimes even our most challenging students can also have some really unique qualities. Okay, so you only have to do 10 students. If you want to do more because you have a small class and you just want to do them all, that's fine. Label them with their initials, not their real names. And this should be each of these columns, each row for every student should be filled out. There shouldn't be any blanks. So just kind of doing the same thing that you did last semester. You're looking at their strengths and assets academically, things that you can see in the classroom that you notice about these particular students, their interests and their social strengths, how they interact with others in the classroom, outside the classroom, and their extracurriculars. What social interests do you see as these particular students interact in the classroom? What are their cultural funds of wealth, funds of knowledge? What is their background knowledge that you can really tap into? Some of you have the privilege of having the same students as last fall, and so you're just going to build on that information here. If you have brand new students, it's going to take you a little bit of time, and you'll just continue to fill this out over time, but it is due at the end of week 3. Language and assets and literacy considerations. There should be no blanks here. This isn't just about multilingual learners, although you should specify if you have multilingual learners, and if you know at what level they're speaking English, what their home language is. But this should also encapsulate things about literacy, good and bad, where this student may struggle, but also students that are quite advanced in literacy. Okay, so then it goes on to include family connections, as many things as you can find about their families, community and neighborhood assets, exceptionalities and accommodations. This is where, you will add things that you need to consider as you're planning lessons for these particular students. And then here's the red column that is going to ask you to find district or building data on your students, the 10 that you have chosen. And I don't think I said this before, but the 10 students that you choose cannot be from a gifted class. Okay, they can't be IB, they can't be honors, they can't be AP students. These should be from inclusive, diverse classrooms. And really, don't hesitate to pick a range of your students in one particular class. Make it easy for yourself. They should be in the same class, and they should be in the class that you're going to video record as well, as much as possible. But they should be non-gifted, advanced type of students. It should be a range. Okay. You'll find that there is a PowerPoint here that kind of helps you understand diagnostic benchmark data too. And then that it'll help you kind of interpret some of those scores, especially in ELA. Let's see, what else do I need to tell you really quickly? How do you get to these benchmark scores? Let's look at that document. Okay, so back in Folio on this learner profile page in week 1, this is just a document that tells you how to get to your district's SLDS platform from the learning management system. Okay. So So Georgia has an SLDS system. It's across the entire state, and it's housed in our dashboards, our student information systems. Okay, some of you have PowerSchool, some of you have Infinite Campus. Whatever it is you have SLDS somewhere in your dashboard. Okay, this is really hard to read unless you make it bigger, bigger, bigger. But it does say SLDS, and sometimes there's even an icon that separates it on the dashboard. Okay, so you'll walk through this document. It'll kind of tell you how to find it, but you should be able to pick the section, right? It should have your class sections. So you should be able to pick the section, and then you should be able to drill down to the individual students and their scores. It's a cool thing to look at if you've never looked at it before in PLCs or in department meetings, just to see where your students are scoring, but then specifically individual students and how they score. Okay, so once you have that diagnostic data in that learner profile, you're going to use it again in a discussion board in week 3. So be sure you have all of that kind of ready to go, and you kind of wrestled with what that means. But as we move through the semester, we really are focusing on literacy as a problem of practice. And you will be using interventions in your class specific to literacy. So our first intervention will be using vocabulary strategies. And so we'll get to a module where we'll really talk about vocabulary strategies and give you some supports. You'll do another intervention that is annotating texts and how you take notes or use graphic organizers, just building upon last semester, but specifically annotating texts outside of an English language arts classroom. So nonfiction texts and our textbooks. How do we annotate for meaning and to learn? And then the third intervention will be specific and targeted to reading and writing integration. And those will all be built out by the time you get there. So again, those learner profiles, each intervention, there's a column there. You will have some assessment to see how students are doing. Those numbers get plugged in. And each week you have a different assessment, you have a different intervention and an assessment to measure growth. But over time, we're going to collect data in your classroom, and it'll be turned in your supervision classroom. But to really analyze the strategies that you're learning here and the impact on student learning. So it's our first delve into really thinking about how assessment and data collection informs instruction each week, and how we look at specific students and their needs and support it with our really detailed targeted planning. So reach out to us again if you have any questions.